Production support for the weekly special is provided by Smithville, a locally owned business serving central and southern Indiana since 1922, with residential and business internet, voice, and security services. Smithville, local pride, global technology. Information at smithville.net. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
The weekly special is celebrating exploration. We'll visit the Irwin Inn Gardens and learn more about their celebrated antiques. We'll head out to Salem, Indiana, where the Maple Syrup Festival is in full swing. And we'll visit with the owner to find out how maple syrup is made. Plus, the Velours are here to perform right now on the weekly special. Welcome to the weekly special. I'm Pam Thrash.
And I'm Joe Rand. Tonight we've got some great guests in the studio ready to show us a bit of Indiana history.
That's right, and there might even be some tasting involved. But first, we travel to Columbus, Indiana. Next Monday, WTIU's new documentary, Our Town, Columbus, premieres at 8 o'clock. The weekly special decided to join the celebration and visited the Irwin Inn Gardens. For over 100 years, the famed Irwin residence has been a staple of downtown Columbus. Built in 1864 by Joseph Irwin, the home remained the primary residence for 4 generations of his family. For the last 2 years, the estate has functioned as a bed and breakfast, revitalizing past memories and creating new ones along the way.
I have a lot of wonderful memories surrounding this family and this house. I remember as a child growing up and going to church, catty corner from here, at First Christian Church, that very often we would come to the gardens, and the family made everyone welcome to do that. They were private people, but yet they shared what they had with the community. And very often there would be tours, either Sunday school tours or school tours, or just an open gate for somebody to come in and think about their lives or look at the beautiful flowers. It's a wonderful place to visit. My feeling is the most interesting part about it is that this was 4 generations of family that maintained things so well. They maintained not just the furnishings and the walls, but they maintained what their commitments were in the community. They maintained their friendships from here. They lived the way they wanted to affect the people around them. They were welcoming, they were thinkers, they were readers, they were musicians. They tried a whole lot of things in their lives, but first and foremost, they cared about the people. And they set a wonderful example not only for their children, but for those people who came in contact with them.
Getting to know Mr. and Mrs. Miller and Mrs. Tangeman, their personality and what they conveyed to you, not in words, but their actions and so forth, that has a great impact on a person. And it had a great impact on me. I had lots of experiences in this job. It wasn't just taking care of a greenhouse and watering plants and petunias and tomatoes. It involved everything else that came along. The greenhouse had a delivery van, and so that was available for any projects that the family might have. One time there was a tree that died over at the library, right next door from here. And Mrs. Miller says, "That tree is dead at the library." I said, I know it, I had my eye on that. I didn't know what we were gonna do about it. She says, "Why don't you just go plant a new tree for him?" And that's really all it took. The family really appreciated thank you notes. Mrs. Tangeman as well as Mrs. Miller. They were generous with their things, and they didn't want anything else but a good thank you.
They gave back to not only their family and their community and their friends, but nationally and internationally at a time when it wasn't thought of as much as it is today. Probably the most fascinating thing to me as an adult now is that so many decisions were made in this house, probably in the dining room, or maybe in the library, that have affected us all. And I would love to have been a fly on the wall to participate in what was going on.
This is great. This is a bed and breakfast. They can walk into here, and you walk into the 1920s era. It's very well done. It's a wonderful remembrance. It's history. The gardens have been here for a long time, 100 years, and you don't see this anymore. It's a showplace. And this is just one part of things that the Irwin family and the Miller family have contributed to the city of Columbus.
The Irwin Inn is so representative of this family, from my point of view, because it's warm, it's inviting, it's obviously a family home. And even though these people made decisions that affected many people far away from Columbus, Indiana, it has had such an impact on the way we think in this little town. And I happen to think it's a little different here. That we do take care of our own, that the Millers and many other people have set fine examples for us. And I hope that our children will want to carry this on, which I think they do.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And we're happy to be joined here by Roseanne Gordon, who is the innkeeper at the inn at Irwin Gardens. How did you become part of this historic inn?
Well, I've known the new owners for about 8 years now and worked for them for many years. So when they purchased the property, they knew that I would jump at the chance to be involved. So I've been very lucky to have that opportunity for me.
Now, there were many items that were found after the purchase of the inn, which makes this an even better story. In the attic and the basement, how did you come across to find all this stuff?
Well, it's an ongoing treasure hunt there in the property. The furnishings were purchased from the family's estate, so about 98% of what's in the house is from the estate. But like I said, as we go through, we're always finding little things that were hidden in nooks and crannies that we didn't know we had and weren't included on the inventory. So that's what some of the pieces here are, things that were hidden away.
Now, is this also some from the event you had? I think it was called the Treasures in the Attic, what, a few weeks ago? Right,
just a couple of weeks ago, and we had some of these displayed in special places. Again, some of the things that we weren't aware of that we wanted to pull out and show to the public that they might not have had a chance to see before.
So let's talk about what you brought here today. This here looks like a shoehorn to
me.
And this is ivory?
Oh, yeah, it's an ivory shoehorn, and I don't think I would want to use it, but I would be afraid I would break it.
Yeah.
But it is an ivory shoehorn, and it has a wonderful little sculpture bit there on the handle. And also this one here I particularly like, because I'm an 18th century seamstress. That's what I do in my other life. And so that's what this is right here. This is a needle case. It's an ivory etched needle case, and so it comes off, it opens up, and that's what you keep your needles in to keep them safe and sound. And so it's a beautiful inlay there as well with the etching and the ivory pieces. And then some of the other ones, unfortunately, we don't have much information about the larger pieces here. But this one, this is kind of an interesting little guy right here. And he's the only one that has any kinds of marking on it. And it says, "A present from England, Christmas 1887. And so at least this piece we can date at least somewhat. Unfortunately, other pieces we can't date as much.
Amazing.
But it's still
1887. Now, what was that used for?
I don't know. I have to get an Antiques Roadshow person to tell me.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of my next question is, I mean, of course, these are very valuable to you because they do represent history, but in terms of what these are worth, can you put a price tag on them?
Unfortunately, no. I've tried to do a little bit of research concerning the pieces, but as of yet, no, we don't have any prices associated with them. And
then we also see some figurines over here on this side, and just the artistry of these, too. Can you imagine having to do this, back in the late 1800s?
Well, just like anything with the house and the entire property, you had workmen who took such pride in the work that they did, and so that they would spend the time to do the etching, to do all the other little pieces that we wouldn't necessarily see in modern architecture today, or craftsmanship today.
What was it like to go through and find all this stuff?
Like I said, it's a treasure hunt. It really is a treasure hunt. Just, I mean, even the cookbooks and things like that, to find things that are dated into the mid and late 1800s. Anytime we find something that we didn't know we had, it's pretty amazing.
Now, what are you going to do with all this stuff? Because there's this, but there's plus a ton more, right?
Right, right. You know, the entire property, when we came into it, we took it with an attitude of maintaining and preservation. So it's trying to find a balance between sharing it with the public, but yet keeping it safe and sound, just like a living museum, basically.
Well, look, we're going to show a website here, but really quick, you have an event coming up that sounds fascinating in April, the Titanic?
Yes, we're doing a recreation of the last dinner on the Titanic, so it will be the authentic menu that was served in first class, and so that will be on April 21st.
Well, thanks so much for being here. And if you'd like to learn more about the Irwin Miller family, be sure to check out WTIU's Our Town Columbus. For more information, visit indianapublicmedia.org/ourtown. Now to our special musical guest, the Velours.
All right, the Velours. That was awesome. I didn't want to come on to keep dancing. Everybody was dancing out here. Before we get started, why don't you introduce yourself and the rest of the bandmates?
I'm Jess Franco, and this is Meredith on guitar, the lovely Miss Libby on keys, the devastator Danielle on the drums, Laura, our wall of sound, and bearded lady Bryce on the bass.
Awesome. How long have you guys been together?
About 2 years in March.
About 2 years. And what made you decide to go with this genre of music?
I love it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want girls, and I want girls who love it, and we just put it out there, and people responded. So.
And tonight you're doing cover songs, but you said earlier we were talking, and you mentioned you guys were working on an album. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're working on recording songs that are, writing and recording songs that are in this style. So it'll be 60s, it'll be girl group, it'll be Motown, it'll be soul, but, you know, new.
A little fresh.
So, yeah.
Because I was reading, where can we get information about you?
On our Facebook page, you can like it. We have like a Reverb Nation Facebook page.
That's what I was reading. It said you guys kind of all have different backgrounds of music to bring into this style, which will be very cool. Now, you had something not so awesome happen to you not too long ago. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, we were in Chicago, and we had all of our gear stolen. So right now, our great friends are letting us borrow their gear. And if you want to find out about how you can help us, we're posting stuff on our Facebook page, having benefit shows, that
Excellent.
sort of thing.
Help them out, help them out, help them out. Well, we're going to hear from you again at the end of the show. For now, though, we're going to go back over to Joe.
Thanks, Pam. If you've got a sweet tooth, you definitely don't want to turn the channel. The Maple Syrup Festival is going on right now, and the weekly special went to learn just how they get the syrup from the trees to our plates.
You all are in luck because the trees have started running, So we have the pump going, and there is sap coming out. That is the sap that's coming out from 550 trees, and this tank was essentially empty an hour ago. This is a vacuum system. It kind of works like a tire. You know, if you think a tire letting air out, our goal is not to let air in. And putting the vacuum on the tree creates a pressure difference between the tap hole and what's inside the tree. That helps you get more sap. The sap will run when you have freezing nights, warm sunny days, like today is a textbook sap day, or if you have some change in barometric pressure. If the barometric pressure is moving, especially if a big front's coming through, the sap will run. Usually the worse the weather is, the more sap you're getting. The worse the better to get sap run.
And that was you, Michael Gehring, talking about that. Now, how did you, I had no idea this was going on, I guess, in southern Indiana, but how did you get into tapping of the trees and making maple syrup?
Well, a friend of mine from Camp Palawopic in Nashville came by, and for 2 years, we made maple syrup on a small scale in the woods, and then he told me that there was acreage available that had a lot of maple trees across the road, which I purchased 2 40-acre parcels, and then we bought our first evaporator in 1983 and have been learning ever since.
And it doesn't look like a whole lot of equipment that you need to tap the trees. Tell us about that. What did you bring with us?
Well, I have the spile here, spile, tees, tubing, and it doesn't take maybe a lot of equipment, but we do have 12 miles of this tubing in the woods.
That's a lot.
And then 2 miles of main line, 9 vacuum pumps, and like I said on the interview there, the squirrels will come eat holes in the line. You have deer go through, knock the lines off the trees. So we do have to inspect that system to make sure our vacuum's working.
Now, is this something that you can do year-round, or is there better times of the year to do it?
The only time you can make maple syrup is when the leaves are off the trees.
Okay.
And really the best time to make it is right now. You can make it in December, January, but the best time is February, first part of March.
Is this something regular people can do at home too?
Oh, sure, yeah. That's what we actually sell this in the store, and you cut about a 3-foot piece of this tubing, drill a 7/16" hole in a tree, 2 inches deep, put the spile in, put a bucket underneath, and you're off to the races.
Excellent. Well, now that...
If it's a maple tree, of course.
If it's a maple tree, yeah. Now that you have all the sap, you make it into maple syrup, and we actually have some footage on how that happens. Let's take a look.
When we first bring the sap back, we pump it off the tractor onto the holding tanks. We have about 2,500 gallons of capacity out here. So after we ran it through the reverse osmosis machine, it comes through the wall and we pump it into this holding tank. This tank holds about 750 gallons and it feeds directly into the evaporator. So it zigzags back and forth through the pans, and as it thickens, gravity naturally pulls it forward. So almost always we end up with the finished syrup in the front pan. The evaporator overall is really efficient at getting the finished syrup to the front. Now there's 3 ways that we test it once it's in the front pan to make sure it's completely finished. If you were to taste any of it in the front pan, it's going to taste just like syrup, but we want to make sure it's fine-tuned and perfect before we take it out. Now the third test he's going to show you is the least scientific, but it's really accurate. He's just going to scoop it up and let it pour out. When it drips, it's not finished. When it comes off in sheets about this big, it's pretty much done. It'll drip just a bit and then it'll sheet off. So if you can get the temperature and then get the candy sheets instead of drips, you've made syrup, so you're done. On a good day, we'll produce 50 to 60 gallons of syrup. On a really good day, we'll produce 100. That's pretty much all that we do with it. We don't add anything. It's just the sap that you tasted out in the woods boiled down.
You know, I can smell it just from watching it. My mouth is watering.
We have some of it here too.
We may have to try some of that.
There you go.
So it's not just maple syrup that you make out of the sap. There's other products too. And tell us about what you brought today.
Well, if you continue with the syrup, a gallon of maple syrup weighs 11 pounds and actually has 8 pounds of solid. So you can boil it down a little more, and it makes a maple cream, which is a spread. This is an excellent product, very tricky to make, but it's a spread, put it on toast. Then traditionally, it's made into the soft cakes here. This is how the Indians would make it, into the maple sugar soft cakes. And then if you go all the way to, and boil all the water out, you can get granulated maple sugar. This is all the solids in about 3 gallons of sap.
Wow.
This is what the tree is, you know, this is a solid that the tree is using.
And how many gallons of sap does it take to come up with this?
A little more than 5 gallons.
A little more than 5 gallons. Now, I noticed that the syrup too is in different grades. What does that mean?
Well, grades, Pam, are color. And generally the darker the grade, the stronger the maple flavor, but that's not always true. So the grading system is just based on a color guide. You have light amber, medium amber, dark amber, grade B.
Okay.
Those are your 4 grades.
Now, there is a festival that is going on this coming weekend.
Yeah.
And tell us about this, because this is an annual event, and it's a huge event.
Yeah,
I checked it out on your website.
Have for 21 years. But we want visitors to experience a maple syrup camp.
Okay.
I mean, that's our main goal. And so there's no parking, admission, bracelet charge. And, you know, we are well set up to handle people. It might be a little rough though, because when you make maple syrup, it is a little rough. But you know, we have the evaporator going. We're serving a large volume of food: pancakes, waffles. Some of the recipes we've developed. We have barbecue chicken. Then a large vendor area, and also within the festival, we have 7 hours of live music. We have actually a music festival within the festival.
Excellent.
So there's a lot of activities, a big children's building, candle dipping, crosscut saw, unusual activities, tomahawk throw, branding iron, and then we even have a Wyandotte Indian, Crooked Paw, who actually is making maple sugar how the Indians made it, with a hollowed out log, putting hot rocks in, and he actually makes sugar. It's very, very expensive for us to do this.
Right.
But it's historically accurate, and that's what the festival is. Experience a maple syrup camp and also learn about history.
And taste some awesome things.
I tell people it's not for the faint of heart. This is
Really?
it's not an easy festival, but people do love coming to it. We have large crowds.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm assuming people can also come visit year-round.
Yes, we have people. It does drop off during the off-season, and of course we're not, you know, we shut down, we have to put things away. We're not set up like we are now, but we do have people come by and buy syrup.
Okay, well, that is fantastic. I am so glad that you stopped by today, and I look forward to, I am going to try some of this. And the festival looks like a lot of fun. And if you'd like to learn more about the Maple Syrup Festival, visit www.lmsugarbush.com.
Well, that does it for tonight. We got to see so many cool things tonight.
We really did, Joe. It was awesome. And remember to check out the Our Town Columbus documentary next Monday. It should be pretty neat. So thanks for joining us. And until next time, we leave you with more from the Velours.
You know it's got me on the go. When I feel it in my feet, it's got me rising up out of my seat. When I feel it in my hands, it's got me clapping just as hard as I can. If you feel like doing the jerk, let me show you how to work. I gotta go now. Go ahead. Out on the floor now. Go ahead. I gotta go now. Go ahead.
Support for the weekly special is provided by Smithville, a locally owned business serving central and southern Indiana since 1922, with residential and business internet, voice, and security services. Smithville, local pride, global technology. Information at smithville.net. And by WTIU members. Thank you.